Hello students, welcome to UPSC Ocean Current Affairs Analysis dated July 11th of Hindu newspaper. So in this class we discuss the current affairs, important articles. High Court halts bipoles in 5 Tamil Nadu Assembly constituencies. Center defends E20 admits a fuel economy may reduce by 3% to 5%. Tribal women leads protest over Can Betwa project, and conservation projects for river dolphins, snow leopards, wild water buffaloes and Indian rhinoceros approved, and a future of financial health for every Indian, and government amends rules to regulate drugs containing alcohol. Okay, so these are the important articles, students, we are discussing in this today's class. So let's see the first one. High Court halts bipoles in 5 Tamil Nadu Assemblies constituencies. Yes, this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of the polity syllabus, where you can see especially the Election Commission of India, Representation of People Act. In these perspectives, we can study this article. Yes, this article is about the Madras High Court, Madras High Court stopping the by-elections in 5 assembly constituencies of Tamil Nadu for the time being. So the court has told the election commission not to announce by-elections until July 31st. But why did this happen? Let's understand. So first, 5 MLAs in Tamil Nadu resigned after winning the 2026 assembly elections. The constituents are Tiruchi East, Perundurai, Ambasamudram, as well as Viramalai and Karur. Normally, when an MLA resigns, the seat becomes vacant and election commission conducts a by-election. So, but in this case, there is a problem. The election result of these MLAs have already been challenged in Madras High Court through election petition. That means the court is still deciding whether their elections were valid or not. If by-elections are conducted now and later the court gives a different judgment, it may create a confusion, right? So the petitioner argued here that if by-elections are held before deciding the election petitions, there may be a situation where two different people may claim to represent the same constituency. So this is called as anomalous situation. So to avoid this confusion, the High Court temporarily stopped the election commission from notifying the by-election. So here first we should understand what is meant by an election petition. So, an election petition is a legal challenge against an election result. If someone believes that an election was not conducted properly, they can approach the High Court and challenge the result. The High Court has the power to declare an election void or declare an election invalid. In some cases, declare another candidate elected. So, a by-election is an election held to fill a vacant seat in the parliament or a state legislature before the normal term ends. And vacancies may arise because of resignation, or maybe due to death or disqualification, conviction, or maybe due to any other reasons. Okay. So students, why this particular case is important is because this case raises an important question that should by-elections be conducted when election petitions are still pending, and the court wants to ensure that election remains fair and no legal confusion arises and people representation is not disrupted. So this particular article is important in the perspective that UPSC may ask questions on Election Commission of India, election petitions, or even the Representation of People's Act. In this perspective, we can see this particular article. Okay, let's revise this quick revision notes. Everybody, if anyone wants to create a current affairs notes or wanted to run the current affairs notes, they can use this particular short notes. Or they can write. Okay, so High Court halts bipoles in 5 assembly constituencies. Their election petitioner against 5 MLAs are pending before the Madras High Court. Court state bipole notifications to avoid anomalous situation of the two claimants to one seat, and election disputes are governed by Article 329 of B and Section 151 of A of the Representation of People's Act 1951 mandates bipoles within the 6 months and highlights a balance between judicial adjudication and democratic representation. Okay. So let's see the next one. Center defends E20 admits a fuel economy may reduce by 3% to 5%. Again, this particular article can link with the syllabus of environment, energy security, and the biofuels and renewable energies. In this perspective, we can study this particular article. And here the article is about the E20 fuel, which is the petrol mixed with the 20% ethanol. So recently the government admitted that using E20 fuel may reduce the mileage of some vehicles by around 3% to 5%. But the government is still supporting the E20 fuel. Why? So let's understand this. So E20 ethanol means 20% ethanol plus 80% petrol. Okay. So ethanol is basically a type of biofuel mainly produced from sugarcane, maize, the food grains, and also agricultural biomass. So India is gradually increasing ethanol blending in petrol to reduce dependency on the imported crude oil. So then what is the issue is here? Some people are asking, if E20 contains more ethanol, why is it not cheaper than the normal petrol? And also some vehicles may get 3 to 5% lower mileage when using E20 fuel. So that means a vehicle may travel slightly few kilometers per liter. So then why is this particular government is promoting is E20 is because the government says that mileage is only one factor, but E20 has several advantages like higher octane rating, and also better anti-knock performance, and also faster combustion, as well as smoother acceleration and the cleaner energy operation. Most importantly, it reduces the pollution. And the government explained that it wants to ensure that farmers get proper compensation for producing the ethanol feedstock. And when global crude oil prices falls, producing E20 fuel can sometimes becomes more expensive than a pure petrol. So the government keeps prices in a way that supports farmers and encourages the ethanol production. And even the government says that E20 can reduces the life cycle carbon emission by nearly 40%, and that means when we consider the entire process from producing the fuel to burning it, that is from greenhouse gas emissions are much lower, because it helps in reducing the pollution, meeting the climate commitments, and even move towards the clean energy. So then why is ethanol blending is important for India is because India imports a large amount of crude oil from the other countries. More ethanol blending means lower oil imports, better energy security, more income for the farmers, and even the reduced foreign exchange spending, and even the lower carbon emission. But there are still some challenges regarding this, because there is a slight reduction in the fuel economy. Some older vehicles may need modifications. Maybe the large quantities of water are required for the sugar cultivation, and even ensuring enough feedback for ethanol production are some of the challenges to this E20. Okay, again, this particular article is important in the perspective of UPSC, especially the questions can be asked ethanol blending program, biofuel and energy security, carbon emission reduction, in the perspectives of sustainable agriculture and India's renewable energy transition. Okay, so the mainly you need to understand that is 20% ethanol plus 80% petrol is known as E20. Okay, let's see a quick revision notes. Yes, E20 means 20% ethanol and 80% petrol. Fuel economy may decline by 3% to 5% in some vehicles, and E20 can reduce the life cycle carbon emission by around 40%, which promotes energy security by reducing crude oil imports and supports farmers through increased demand for sugarcane and maize. Okay, so let's see the next one. So tribal women led protesters over the Can Betwa project. Again, this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of the environment. Okay, so here, and also the part of geography, interlinking of rivers, and even the GS2 tribal rights, in this perspectives we can study this particular article. Here the article is about the Can Betwa river linking project and the protesters being carried out by the tribal villagers, especially the women in Madhya Pradesh. And even the villagers are protesting because they fear displacement from their homes, inadequate compensation, even the damage to forests and wildlife. So first, what we need to understand, what is this Can Betwa project? The Can Betwa link project is the India's first interlinking project under the National Perspective Plan. So the main idea is simple, because transfer the water from the Can river, which is considered to have a surplus water, to the Betwa river, which faces water shortage. And the government says this project will help in irrigation, drinking water supply, even to the hydropower generation, and to the overall development of the Bundelkhand region. But there are some people are protesting because several villages in the Chhatarpur and Panna districts are likely to be affected, and many tribal families says the compensation is too low and the rehabilitation plans are not satisfactory, and some families have been left out of the rehabilitation list. So because of this, women have been leading protests, and they even staged symbolic protests like lying on a symbolic funeral pies earlier and wearing noses around their necks now. So these protests are means to show their fear of losing their homes and livelihood. And here the students, the villagers want the better compensation, proper rehabilitation, and the inclusion of all affected families in the resettlement plan. And they're also demanding that compensation package be increased. Yet the government says that compensation has already been increased, and the rehabilitation package was reportedly raised from around 5 lakhs to 12.5 lakhs, and further financial support has been proposed. But the officials also says that some protesters are not directly affected by the Canbetwa project but by other irrigation projects. However, the villagers continue to demand better rehabilitation measures, and the project is also controversial because of its effects of the Panna National Park and Tiger Reserve. So, Panna National Park and Tiger Reserve, environmentalists fear that the project could damage forest, affect the wildlife habitats, even disturb the biodiversity. So, this brings an important debate where development versus the environmental conservation, which is a classical issue in the UPSC. Okay, so why again, students, why this particular project is important is because Bundelkhand is one of the India's drought-prone regions where so it is a part of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. See in this particular picture where you see the Can River and Betwa River of interlinking projects. This particular region we will be calling them as a Bundelkhand region. So where the Bundelkhand is one of the India's drought prone regions, and the government believes that the project can improve irrigation, it can increase agriculture productivity, even it increases the or provides the drinking water, which promotes the regional development. But at the same time the project also raises concerns about the tribal displacement, ecological damage, even rehabilitation and the resettlement issues. Okay, so let's revise quickly. So yes, the topic is about the Can-Betwa River Interlinking Project. It is India's first river interlinking project which links Can River and the Betwa River, both are the tributaries of the Yamuna River, which aims to provide the irrigation and drinking water in the Bundelkhand region. Concerns includes the displacement of tribals and impact of the Panna Tiger Reserve, which illustrates the development versus environmental debate, which is a classical issue of UPSC. Okay, so let's see the next one. So the next article is about the conservation projects for river dolphins. Three other species was approved. Again, this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of biodiversity, conservation, the part of environment, wildlife conservation. In this perspective, we can study this article. Here, this article is about the India's efforts to protect some of its most important wildlife species, and recently the governing body of the National CAMPA approved for 4 conservation projects for the river dolphins, and for the snow leopards, and for the wildlife buffaloes, wild water buffaloes, and to the Indian rhinoceros, rhinoceros. So, first of all, let's understand what happened. The government has decided to launch the special project to study and protect this species. An initial amount of 3,000 crore has been set aside over the next 5 years for the conservation activities. But the aim is not just to protect the animals today, but also to ensure that their population recovery in the future. So, again, why this particular species is because if you see the river dolphins, the Gangetic river dolphin is India's national aquatic animal. It's found mainly in the Ganga rivers, Brahmaputra river and their tributaries, but its population is threatened by water pollution, damages and barrages, fishing nets, even due to the habitat destructions. Therefore, the special conservation measures are needed for the river dolphins, right? Again, a species in the news is again a favorite UPSC theme. So where you have to study properly. And coming to the snow leopards is found in the Himalayan region, including the Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and the Arunachal Pradesh areas, and it is called as the ghost of the mountains because it is very difficult to spot, and threats like climate change, habitat loss and even to the poaching. And the government has already launched the project like a snow leopard, and now phase 2 will strengthen this conservation efforts. Coming to the Indian rhinoceros, the great one-horned rhinoceros is mainly found in the regions of Assam, especially the Kaziranga National Park, it's a major threats like poaching for horns, habitat degradation, flood-related challenges, and the new project aims to prepare a better conservation and recovery plan. Even due to the wild water buffalo, the wild water buffalo is one of the world's most endangered bovine species, and it's mainly found in Assam and Chhattisgarh. And the government here also plans to adopt a pan-India conservation approach to protect this species. Students coming to the CAMPA. So CAMPA means Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. So whenever the forest land is diverted for the development projects, money is collected for afforestation, forest conservation and wildlife protection. And this fund is managed through CAMPA. And this project is important because it helps in scientific population studies, habitat restoration, and even for the better management plans and protection of endangered species and for the conservation of India's biodiversity. Okay. So UPSC loves asking questions on national parks, wildlife, endangered species, and even for the government conservation programs and biodiversity and eco management systems. In this perspective, this article is very, very important. Okay. So let's revise quickly. National Campa approved the projects for Gangetic River dolphins, snow leopards, wild water buffaloes, and Indian rhinoceros. Gangetic dolphin is India's national aquatic animal. Campa funds afforestation and wildlife conservation activities, which focuses on species recovery and ecosystem restoration, which is important for biodiversity conservation. Coming to the next article, so the next one is about the editorial, a future of financial health for every Indian. Again, this particular editorial can link with the UPSC syllabus of the inclusive growth and especially the financial inclusion, the part of GS3 and GS2 welfare schemes for the vulnerable sections. In this perspectives, you can study this particular editorial. And here, this article is about something called as the financial health. Financial health, just like we talk about the physical health, financial health means, are you able to manage your money properly? Can you save for the future? Can you handle emergencies without falling into the debt? Do you have insurance and pension support? This is something called as a financial health. And there is a person, named Nar, who worked as a caddy at a golf club for 45 years. For many years, he simply earned money and spent it on his family. He never thought much about the retirement, but 3 years ago, he joined the national pension system and started saving. Now he feels financially secure because he knows he will have some income after the retirement, right? So this is what financial health actually means. So financial health means access to the bank accounts, savings and investments, insurance, pensions, ability to deal with the unexpected expenses, confidence about the future. It is not just about having a money, it is about having the financial security and resilience. Then why this particular financial health is important for India? Because India has made huge progress in financial inclusions, and even World Bank, according to the World Bank data, account ownership is increased from around 56% to 89% in 10 years. This is a major achievement, but simply opening a bank account is not enough because the people should also save, invest, and use insurance and even plan for the retirement. So the article says India's next step should be moving from welfare benefits to creating this long-term financial security. This means the government schemes should help people build savings, create assets, and even becomes financially independent. So here the article suggesting some of the measures, suggestions, especially to strengthen this Janadhan 2.0. So the Pradhan Mantri Janadhan Yojana, which is PMJDY, should move beyond simple bank accounts. It should become a complete financial resilience platform, and it is also suggesting to link the welfare schemes together. Like different schemes should be connected through one account, like PMGDY, direct benefit transfers, PM Kisan, Manrega, E-Shram, Atal Pensions Yojana, even the PM Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, PM Suraksha Bima Yojana. All these multiple schemes needs to be integrated to improve the financial security. And even it is suggesting to use digital public infrastructures like DPIs. So India's digital systems like UPI, DigiLocker, accounts aggregators, AI-based financial tools can help people make the better financial decisions. And India is becoming a global leader in digital financial inclusions. And also it is suggesting to use the data for better policy making. For the better policy making, the government can use household surveys, administrative data, even the digital databases to understand this people's financial needs and design the better policies, and also to encourage this public private partnership PPP models. The government alone cannot improve this financial health. Fintech companies, banks, employers, insurance companies all need to work together. This is called as a public private partnership approach. So when hold the majority of the Janatan accounts, better financial health means more financial independency, better household decisions, better savings and investments, greater economic empowerment. Again, this particular article is important in the perspective of UPSC, especially UPSC can ask questions regarding financial inclusion, digital public infrastructure, Janatan Yojana. In this perspectives, we can see this. Let's have a quick revision. Yes, the financial health means the ability to save, invest, and withstand the financial shocks. India bank account ownership increased from 56 to 89%. Emphasis moving from financial inclusion to financial resilience. Suggest integration to PMJDY with insurance, pensions, and DBT scheme. Supports the vision of welfare to wealth creation. Okay. So then go for the next article. So here this particular article is about the government amend rules to regulate drugs containing alcohol. Again, this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of public health and health governance, drug regulations. In this perspective, we can study this particular article. Here this article is about the government's decision to bring the medicines which containing the high amounts of alcohol under the stricter regulations. The aim is simple, students. Here to prevent the misuse of these medicines for the intoxication. Then the Union Health Ministry, ministries are again very important. The Union Health Ministry has changed the rules for the medicines that contains more than 12% ethyl alcohol. So earlier, many such medicines were exempt from licensing requirements under Schedule K of the Drugs Rule 1945. Now that exemptions has been removed, this means these products will now need proper licenses before they can be manufactured and sold. The government found that some medicinal products contain very high levels of alcohol. In some cases, the alcohol content is as high as 80% to 90%. Because of this, some people misuse these products as intoxicants instead of using them as medicines. So several state governments had also reported the cases of such misuses. So certain medicinal preparations like tinctures, cardamom preparations, ginger preparations, other aromatic medicinal products contain this significant amount of this ethyl alcohol, and these products will now come under the stricter regulations, and now these problems need the license under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, and will face stronger regulatory oversight, can only be solved through the regulated pharmaceutical supply chain, and this will make it harder for the people to misuse these products. And this particular article also mentions about this Schedule H1. The Schedule H1 medicines. The amendment also shift these medicine to Schedule H1 of the Drugs Rules 1945, and Schedule H1 medicines means they cannot be sold freely, require a prescription from a registered medical practitioner, and need the stricter record keeping by the pharmacies. So these helps the government monitor their sale and prevent the misuse. Again, students, this is important because this decision is important because it balances the two things. One is the availability of genuine medicines. The second one is the prevention of alcohol abuse and the public health risks. So the government wants to ensure that medicines are used for the treatment and not for the intoxication. Again, UPSC can ask questions on the public health regulations, drugs control mechanism, Drugs and Cosmetics Act, Schedule H1 medicines. In these perspectives, we can study this particular article. Okay, let's revise quickly. Yes, formulations containing more than 12% of ethyl alcohol and exceeding 30 ml will require licensing. Such products are shifted from Schedule K to the Schedule H1, aims to prevent misuse of medicinal products with high alcohol content, and strengthens the regulation under the Drugs and Cosmetics Acts 1940, which improves public health and pharmaceutical oversights. So students, these are the important articles for the today's class. Hope you like this class. Thank you for listening and all the best.